So who we have with us today is Linda Sauder. And Linda has been a Bodega resident for a long time, along with Mary Biggs. And so they're going to share a little bit about their experience about the Bodega Quilt, how it got started, and some of the most memorable experiences they have. And maybe we'll even find out some things that we didn't know about this wonderful gift that they give the community. We'll start with Mary a little bit because she started just now.
Because I just well, the Bodega Quilt actually began in 1980 when the volunteer fire department was meeting, and we were discussing how to improve the yearly fundraising that was happening. It had been just a chicken barbecue basically every year, and we were doing a brainstorming session about other things that we could do. We talked about expanding it to a 2-day event, which we did in 1980, and I had known there were some quilters in the area. I knew nothing about quilting, but I knew there were some quilters, and I said, hey, we could see if the quilters would make a quilt, and we could raffle it off. Well, the quilters didn't want to make a quilt, and they didn't want to organize it or anything, and I knew nothing, like I said, about quilting, but I thought, oh, well, I could try. I knew how to sew. So that, in a way, is how it began.
And how did you get involved with it?
We were right there together, all the women in Bodega, ready to join in the community of quilters. We just made it. We just started it.
Mm-hmm. So what we do, and what we started right from the beginning, just asking around who was interested. So we do this every year. We ask who's interested in deciding what the theme will be. And we did at that time, what will the theme be? And the first theme was 30 views of Bodega.
Oh.
And we had 30 quilters that first time.
I remember.
And so we start with deciding the theme, and we always do this as part of a team effort. So, and it depends upon who is interested in coming forward. We usually put up a flyer in the post office. So somebody volunteers to do the flyer, and that's how we start gathering up for the present year who's going to work on the quilt.
Now, to my understanding, the quilt has been circulating. Once it gets finished, it's circulating around the county, but to my understanding, it's gotten some international acclaim.
Well, that's news to me.
I know it's one of the longest running community art projects.
Yeah, that's how I. Yeah.
And it is, because people that win the quilts from everywhere, I think it is known all over the world.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. I just hadn't exactly heard that.
Yeah.
I've been keeping the actual winning ticket to the best of my ability for all these years since 1980, and I have a couple of binders that has what our theme is, what the instructions are, who worked on the quilt. I used to have photos of all of the quilts, but some of them have disappeared, so we don't exactly have all the quilts anymore, but we have plans one day beyond, well, the making of the quilt, we shouldn't get away from that, is really a wonderful, in some ways life-changing experience for a lot of people, because we decide our theme, and then Linda and I have been buying the fabric for the quilt for all these years. We go together. A couple times I haven't gone, and a couple times she hasn't gone, but basically we've been doing that. And
for how long?
I think
since 1980.
Since 1980.
It's our 33rd year.
Folks, did you hear this?
33 years.
33 years. That's
it's a labor of love, this quilt.
It is.
So we have our theme, we get our color scheme, and we give out a little bit of fabric to everyone with instructions. And then some people go off and just decide on what they're going to produce. And we don't see them until they turn in their square. And some years we have quilting bees where everyone gathers in the fire hall and we sew together and we inspire one another.
And share fabric.
And share fabric. And share
ideas.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's wonderful.
It's
wonderful.
Completely, totally wonderful. But it's a creative endeavor. And people do beautiful, wonderful art. And then what happens is you give it away. You have to give it away. And some people, because we don't require that you know how to sew or that you are a quilter. You just have to volunteer to do a square and get a spot these days because it's precious. People want to get in on it.
So what's been your most memorable experience?
Well, I think I personally just put my heart and my soul, and my quilt square has always got something in it that happened that year that was meaningful to me, and they're spiritual experiences for me personally, and I know some other people do that too. So I get to put down in fabric how I feel right then and how I feel about Bodega and our community, and so it's all an amazing experience for me personally. So.
What's been your most memorable experience?
I think my most memorable, because I'm very involved in the group process and I love working with all the people. But when I do my own square, I started being very overly complicated about it. And I've learned, and my most memorable was the year I was working on my master's degree, and I was in San Francisco a lot. I didn't really have any time to do the quilt, but I had promised I would do one. I was committed. So I did my square in a day and a half. And that was a big breakthrough for me, to be able to sort of do a very spontaneous, quick execution of an idea. So that's memorable for me. You know, I learned something about myself, and I think that happens for other people too.
It's such a process to be part of this quilt. We've lost members to illness, and everything has happened. Our children are born. My grandchildren were born. People die, and it just everything's there. It's all there. It's amazing.
And who's
Remember
going to
the
step?
one we dedicated to Carol?
Yes.
When she died.
Right.
And she was one of our first quilters.
And Art Cassini.
Art Cassini, yes.
Because
And
right.
all these astounding people.
Right. True. The themes, we had the women of Bodega, the men of Bodega, the children,
The barns.
the barns. So we try to stay close to home, but we've done Bodega and her neighbors.
Birds.
The
and
birds,
plants.
of course.
The mandalas.
The mandalas. Yeah, right.
And this year it's roots. And you will not believe
It's
the kind
gorgeous.
of roots that have been shown. It's truly, you'll get to see it. It's unbelievably beautiful. It's just beautiful.
Wow.
It's gorgeous. And almost every year we've had a new person who's never sewn before. So we've had children participate. We've had a handful of men over the years, and it's always been very precious to have men involved. And they get very excited. None of them have done repeat squares.
Because it was so
We don't know
hard.
why. Because it's so hard. Linda, you talk about how hard it is. It's not an easy thing to accomplish.
It's not an easy. We do our work of art, and then we put the sides on it, and we make lap quilts. This is our commitment, this big, but it's layered and complicated, and we quilt it, and
It's all hand.
it's all hand done, and they are truly remarkable. And it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work and a big commitment. And I don't want to forget to say that we do it for our fire department too.
Right.
Right.
We're making a contribution to our. We're not out fighting fires, but we make quilts every year, and I'm proud, and I'm really proud when it's all done. It's hanging up in front of the fire department, and we're just standing there. We made this beautiful thing, and it's unique. It's so unique. It just amazes me. I cry because it's so beautiful, and so much heart has gone into it.
Yeah.
So much heart.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Well, thank you for taking this time to talk about the quilt, and we'll have some images of the new quilt for this year. And as Linda was sharing, the proceeds from the quilt go to the Bodega Volunteer Fire Department, which is a volunteer fire department, and they do tremendous work and have a tremendous leader. And so, we thank you for watching.